What is up, guys? So today we got Bitcoin back testing this breakout zone at 22K, right? The resistance, breakout, retest. This price action is constructive and good as long as we're above 22K. It is constructive, building upon previous resistance. The RSI was testing near that 50 level, right? We broke out for the first time since April. And now we're looking to bounce on the RSI. A higher low in the RSI is possible if we hold that previous breakout zone as support. And that would also, too, be quite constructive, right? Constructive. If Bitcoin falls below 22,000 here, that's when it gets destructive. But currently, we're in a good position there. Ethereum has been the leader of this current move. Ethereum has always been breaking out. This is the 4-hour chart for Ethereum. Ethereum coming up to resistance. So if Ethereum pops that resistance right there, that's when we could see Bitcoin get a nice bounce to confirm that as a real support right there on the daily. And on the hourly for Bitcoin, we are flipping back above the 20 EMA once again. So if we can hold that, then we might be looking for a test back up to resistance. All eyes are kind of on Ethereum though, as it is the leader recently. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today is July 24th, and today we're going to be talking about the price of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is in a very interesting spot right now. That video that you just saw was from Twitter. I'm doing daily video updates like that in that very quick fashion, so definitely follow me on Twitter. Now, today for Bitcoin, it's getting pretty interesting here because on the daily chart, what we can see is that we have basically flipped this previous resistance here, this zone, into a new support. Yesterday, we got a touch just above that previous wick high from the 25th of June. And we are now basically just flipping that into a support. We got a breakout, a retest, and now we're attempting to get a push up off that support level. So it is currently constructive when you're building support on previous resistance. That is constructive. It's a trend building activity that the market is playing out right now. So as long as we're obviously holding previous resistance as new support, that is constructive. If Bitcoin does at some point, maybe tomorrow, let's say the stock market opens and we dump, if we come back and break below 22K and close down there, that I would say is destructive, and that would mean that we have a failed breakout. But right now, give it a check mark. It is still a confirmed breakout, and we are holding that level. So daily charts looking pretty good. On this channel, we've been talking a lot about the 50 level on the daily RSI and how that was going to be basically our breakout signal. And if you take a look at the 50 level on the daily RSI right there, right, that is this white line zone. That is, what we've basically been using as resistance since April. Since April of this year, resistance there, come over here, resistance, come over here, resistance. But like we've been saying for weeks now, if we get above it with a close, that could usher in a medium-term uptrend for Bitcoin, a medium-term uptrend. And we're going to talk about the targets here in just a second. So what we're seeing now, in contrary to what we saw last time, basically back here in May, when Bitcoin had this upward sloping trend line on the daily RSI, we got to the 50 level, that key resistance, and what happened? We broke below it, and that ushered in our next move down, right? Now, if you're looking at this upward sloping trend line on the RSI, on the daily, well, we trended up to resistance, and then we broke out. So this is clearly something very different than what we've seen for the past, 1, 2, 3, 4 months, guys. For the first time in 4 months, we are breaking that trend line, that resistance line for the daily RSI. So this is historically a sign of, breaking above that 50 is historically a sign of some kind of medium-term change in trend. Last time we did it here after the bull run from 65, that ushered in, or actually was right here, that ushered in bearish moves. So we're doing the opposite. We're breaking above it. So it's looking like it's more likely, I would say now it's more likely that Bitcoin's going to see some upside. Of course, guys, I know a lot of people are going to get frustrated at me for saying that, for talking about bullish things in a bear market, but we have to be mindful of the fact that there are, bear market rallies in bear markets. In the long term, the trend is still down. So I'm not saying that, we're just going to go to the moon. We're probably going to come up, hit a target, and then come back to retest the lows again, look to create a longer term base of support at lower levels. this is usually how things go in a bear market, right? So it's just, we're just looking for medium-term moves here based on the, the new sort of higher low trend change, resistance, new support, looking like Bitcoin wants to push up. Another very key thing about this current trend is that if you go to the weekly chart for Bitcoin, we are testing up to the 200-week SMA. And currently, if we just maybe expand on that, look at that, guys. We are actually breaking above it, right? We're actually currently above the 200-week SMA. So that is key. And why is that key? Because it is historically very important moving average trend line. This is the weekly chart. We're looking at Bitcoin back in 2015. This is 2018. So obviously you can see every bear market, we kind of bottom on the 200-week SMA. And during COVID, we had a little bit of a snap below it that we closed right around it. And here we actually spent some time below it, right? So, we were down here below the 200-week. And obviously getting above it and closing above it is going to be a key thing. Today is Sunday. Today is the weekly close day. So if we do close this weekly above the key 200-week SMA, which we are currently above, if we can close it above that, that would signal possible continuation up. But again, remember, it is a downtrend for Bitcoin. Even if we do get this medium-term uptrend that I'm talking about, expect sellers to step in, expect, people to essentially look for the exit door on the next bounce, and then maybe look to retest support, go sideways for quite some time. That's how a bear market usually plays out. And then maybe look for an end of year rally to break above our bear market macro resistance. And if we can do that, well, at that point, then we're looking for, some kind of longer term recovery towards the beginning of next year. Now, going back to Bitcoin here, I want to pull up the key, one of my favorite moving averages, the 128-day SMA, this blue line. We've talked about this already on the channel, how, all major uptrends take place above the 128. And then when we break below it, it signals downtrends. When you get above it, it signals uptrends, uses support here, right? Signals downtrends. And it's just been a very key moving average, right, overall. And this goes back to 2017. It was the bull market support. The 128-day SMA is a key level right now, and it's very interesting to see that the 128-day coincides with the long-term macro downtrend line on linear scale. If you're looking at the medium-term downtrend line, which we've broken above, and this is kind of, why on this channel we were saying that we could see moves up, to high 20s, maybe 30. The reason we were saying that is because, well, we had a clear downtrend and we broke it. And we got resistance to become support here recently. So, continuation up is possible. Of course, all depend on stocks. But the interesting thing is that the 128-day coincides with our long-term linear scale downward sloping trend line. Look at that. It's just perfectly lined up right there. So we have coinciding variables with the downward trend line, with the 128-day being that key moving average for a lot of these trends. And so I would say that the target, our target is likely going to be, if we do continue up, I would say that the target could possibly come in around the 128-day. Right now, it does seem like kind of a stretch, and that is not really all too crazy in the context of an 8-month downtrend, seeing a little bit of up, a little bit of down, longer term base of support. Very classic bear market action, nothing crazy, right? Pretty standard stuff. And so that's kind of the target here. And obviously, kind of got to consider that it might take some time to get up there. The target could be coming in more so around, by the time we get there, around the previous support of that range, which is about 28,500. Seems to be a possible zone. Previous support would become new resistance along the downward sloping trend line, along the 128-day SMA. So 28,500 seems like a pretty good spot to be looking for a target here over the next several weeks. Two more things I want to mention. It's going to be obvious if it's a failed breakout because Bitcoin will basically come back to 22K, break down, and that is a failed breakout. That is destructive. We're destroying the trend if we break below 22K. So that is the invalidation level. Again, closing below the 22K level invalidates it for the most part, unless it's a fake out. And if we look at the longer term trend here, the last thing I want to mention is that yes, it's still a bear market. So I'm talking about little moves up in the context of the long term, little moves up in the context of a downtrend, meaning that, you know, I just want to make it clear that I don't think we're just going to go to the moon, guys, right? I think we're probably going to come back to the lows at some point and test them again, you know, back maybe even below 20K right there, right? Come back, create a longer term base of support, and then look for a recovery later on. Because that downward sloping trend line will likely be a resistance, right? And then we have to break it at some point, confirm it as support, and then consolidate and rally up. And once we catch that 128-day SMA, and we actually catch support on it, which may take many months, may take till the end of the year, but this blue 128-day, once we get above that, and we're actually above it, right? That's when I would say that we're looking for longer term macro recovery. But for now, it's just a medium term uptrend within a downtrend, and will likely be down here for quite some time. So don't get me wrong here, guys. I'm not, you know, a lot of people like to criticize, say, oh, you're just, you know, a moon boy or whatever, right? But it's, I mean, this is not very much, this doesn't look like the moon to me. A lot of sideways action likely coming here at low levels before an end of year recovery. So keep all that in mind. You know, another thing I talk about a lot is the volume on the weekly. We've talked about this a lot on this channel. And yes, we've had a double volume signature on the Coinbase chart. Remember, this is the COVID bottom. This is the 30K 2021 bottom. And we got the signature here, guys. We got the signature, and this signature called the 14K top in 2019. This signature called the $3,100 low, or just around it, in 2018. And we also got that signature, of course, at the top of the bull market right there, that big green one. And even that year-long 6K support level got the signature. So those Coinbase weekly volume signatures, you know, do really help in calling long-term lows. So is it the bottom? I don't know. I don't know if it's the bottom, but it could act as a multi-month bottom looking at that volume signature down there on the weekly, 17.5. So we'll see, right? We'll see. It could take us a while to get out of here, but that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. And if you want to support this channel, there are ways to do that. Patreon, VIP Discord chat. I did give an alert on Patreon for a trade recently. Also, the sign-up rewards, $4,000 deposit bonus for BitGet. I have actually been using this exchange more and more recently. The user experience is really good. Doing a lot of trades on there. It is approved for US users, and there's no KYC. So pretty good option, I would say. Use that link for the bonus, and I'll see you guys in the next video.